Leftover boss women are baffled at the lack of interest from men.
With the way my dating life is going right now, I feel like I'm gonna be single for a long time. Like a long time. I literally just cannot stand. I cannot stand these vanilla ass men. You're boring. You don't intrigue me. And at this point, I'm like losing faith in all men. I just feel like they all want one thing. And if that's what you want, I'm the wrong bitch. Go somewhere else. I cannot tell another man what I like to do on my free time. I can't do it. And I don't give my attention to anybody. And when I'm finally like, oh, like he's cute, like let me talk to him. You're boring! You're boring! You suck!
How do you think men feel when they're typically the ones pulling all of the weight, and in response, they get one-worded responses, 2-hour gaps in conversation, and 0 initiation? The bottom line is that a lot of men today feel like it is pulling teeth to get to know a woman. So if you as a woman don't even want to talk about your hobbies, yet you're telling men that they're too vanilla, they're boring. I'm sorry, is he the only one that's supposed to bring joy and excitement to your life, but you don't provide anything back?
Most women think they are special, yet they think most men are not special. Ladies, you are not special. Get used to it. Don't fret over lowering your standards. You need to set realistic expectations. Most men do not want to marry a diva or a princess or a narcissist. Everyone is flawed. If you get 64% of what you are looking for in a relationship, you should consider yourself lucky.
Okay, PSA to all men. Just because a girl is wearing a low-cut shirt or a tight top or a fitted outfit doesn't give you permission to just stare at their chest. It makes us so uncomfortable, and if you guys could please stop doing it, it would be amazing. Men will always be like, oh, we don't like being called creeps, or we're so scared to be called creeps, but then you guys make it so difficult for the female species to exist or even wear anything.
Okay, in case you guys didn't hear a word that lady just said, she said don't be creeps, don't stare at her. No matter what she's wearing, no matter what any other woman is wearing, don't stare. I mean, even if she has like a flamingo on her head, you better not stare. Even though it's like totally human, you know, when somebody is just being totally obvious and flaunting, you know, maybe they're even like dancing with that flamingo. Yeah, you better not look unless you're attractive in her eyes. So like, okay, so it gets a little muddied, I know. So if you're attractive, so, you know, you gotta look at the scale. So if you're maybe an 8 or 9 or 10, she probably, you know, she's a 10 up there. So like you might really need to be a 10. Don't look at her unless you're that. Because we all know.
Don't forget, the reality is that women gave their best physical years to chads and jocks. In the old days, the married guys could at least look back and say I got some of the good stuff. But now, all guys would get is her declining sag, bag, and drag years. I went on a couple of dates with a girl who met me at Home Depot. It was a waste of my time for the most part. She was very self-absorbed. I'm not sure if anyone has told her she'd ever done anything wrong. I just blocked her because there's no chance I would be happy being around someone who lies to themselves to protect their own ego. She was the first person I heard the term situationship from while talking about her sister. I never heard the word before, but it's obvious that she would waste as much of my time as I was willing to give. I tried to bring up some of the things I saw that would improve her quality of life if she implemented them, but of course, thought I was being an asshole to bring up accountability. Ultimately, she framed me as the bad guy when I stopped responding. I'm happy I only invested a couple of months of my life.
So you said this about Me Too. This is probably 40% of the reason I moved to Romania. In Eastern Europe, none of this garbage flies. You go to the police and say he raped me back in 1988. They'll say, well, you should have done something about it back then.
That one small sentence you've taken was from a 1-hour video where I explained that, of course, rape is disgusting. Of course, everybody should be punished for their crimes regardless of when they happen. But people are not perfect, male and female. And if you give women the opportunity to destroy men's lives without evidence, there's going to be a contingent of women who will do that. I'm trying to make a balanced and nuanced argument in a world where people have no attention span. They're going to take a few seconds, put it online, decide someone's good or bad, not be interested in the longer format video. We live in a world now with TikTok videos 5 or 6 seconds long. There's no content.
Just to touch on the subject of abuse here. In the last few years, law enforcement stats show that more and more American women are being arrested for domestic violence. Personally, I am against violence in any form. People, even in anger, must learn control themselves in every situation. If situations become heated, one of you must learn to walk away. If not, in many cases, someone is going to jail. As parents, we need to teach our children that violent behavior doesn't solve anything. When are Americans going to get this through their brain buckets? Parents. Our children learn much of what goes on in society today from our actions as parents. We all need to do a better job in teaching our children right from wrong. TY.
I'm done with situationships with guys who just use me because, they want to sleep with me, or they just, want to hook up with me, or something like that.
Let me guess. You've realized your worth now as an older woman. You have matured, and you're just not gonna make the same mistakes because your value at 30 plus is so much higher now. So the next guy that comes around is gonna have to jump through 10 times the hoops.
No matter how miserable, lonely, and unfulfilled women may be, they will always find a way to blame men for their situation in life. Dating a leftover woman is like being the only kid at school who wasn't invited to a popular girls' party for being a nerd, and then expecting to clean up the mess after everyone else went inside and had their fun. If you weren't on her guest list, never be her cleaner. People tend to confuse consistency with simplicity, since it's often easier to understand, and complexity with confusion, inconsistency, and contradiction, because it's not as easy to understand or make sense. A man certain of what his goals are and what he wants is more likely to seem simple than a woman who is capricious, with ever-changing goals and wants.
Most of these women, these feminists, they're very unhappy people, right? It just seethes out of the body. When you meet somebody and they seem joyful and that energy is contagious to you. So many of these women, modern women, I don't need a man, this, that, feminism, what's great for women, they just look rancid inside, right? Like something rotten's coming out. They got an expression all the time. It's like these female CEOs sometimes. I hate to say it, not all of them, but a lot of them look like they're just inside, just spoiled milk. It's ready to bubble over, and let's just hope you're not in the way when it does.
Women wanted men to leave them alone, so we did. And even though they got exactly what they wanted, they are still not happy, and also blame men for confirming their request. And then they refuse to accept the fact that they wanted this, and refuse to accept accountability for a movement they started themselves. What frustrates me is that people believe that being mean is a masculine trait. Men are not meant to simply be mean. Insults between men are at most verbal sparring, and between friends, it is banter that they never mean it personally. Men can give hard truths, call out bad behavior, and enforce boundaries, and that is seen as being mean. When women often try to emulate this, they make it personal, they become controlling, and many female bosses will spread false rumors to punish subordinates.
Instinctually, women want a man to be a leader. But there's programming in society, typically from feminism, which tells women to go be boss babes and
you can be that leader.
Well, so I think what you have is women still, like, on some, as you said, instinctual level, want a leader, yet it's not clear to me if, granted, and I think men are also failing at this too, in the sense that there's a lot of men that are not up to par, but I also think that even if they do find a man who's up to par, a lot of women are not prepared to follow, because in order to be led, you need to be a follower. Yeah. That's the paradigm. So I think a lot of women are not prepared to be followers.
Women cannot be mean like men can, and attain respect because they fundamentally misunderstand what the man is doing. He is not being mean for the sake of being mean. He is often doing it for the good of the group or the betterment of the person. Women become mean to inflict pain. For men, it's about causing tangible results. For women, it is about causing an emotional reaction. All women, and men for that matter, must accept that the seller sets the price, but the buyer sets the value. Everyone can look at themselves and put whatever price tag on themselves that they see fit, but it does not mean that they will get that price. What one person sees as an amazing catch, another may see as damaged goods, and will insist on a huge discount. I have found that in the case of leftover women, the more they claim they are not damaged, and any man should be lucky to have her, the more likely she has unresolved trauma and an unsavory past. Women need to understand that women look at a man's future when she sets his value, and men look at a woman's past when setting hers. When a man sees a woman in her 40s, alone, unmarried, with no kids and no real long-term relationships, one of the first things he will think is, if she is so amazing, then why has no one snapped her up yet? I think of it like that last apple in the basket. It may look great. It may not have any blemishes to be seen. It may smell great and seem perfect, but there is always the question of why it is the last one. Why has the basket been picked through and every other apple been taken, but this one left alone? What is wrong with this one that no one before has been willing to take it. Most men will assume there must be a worm crawling around inside ready to poison us the first time we bite into it. Men aren't good for nothing, and women can do it all by themselves, are just a few of the phrases from the new religion known as wokeism that they used to recite on their early broken recordings. We don't require any men. I am entitled to choose whomever I want to sleep with. Men are oppressors, etc. Modern women who chose a profession in school over getting married are obnoxious, intolerable, and poor dating candidates since they are so predictable with their thinking. They've been given the myth that they can climb the corporate ladders in their 20s, have a successful profession, have several guys hit on them, and finally settle down in their mid-30s, even though they believe that this helps them have respectable savings and know themselves better. The truth is different, though. Women overspend, live paycheck to paycheck, and have so much emotional baggage that their ability to attach as a couple is permanently lost. They turn to antidepressants and other legal drugs like alcohol and cigarettes when they are in their mid-30s and early 40s, and have trouble finding a man who truly wants them as a mate. However, this does not imply that men pay them no attention. Some males will thirst for any woman out there, no matter what sort they are. She becomes more manly, the more marriages and children she has. If I had to sum up how the remaining women think, I'd say ideology triumphs over biology. They ridicule guys, demonize them, and treat them with total disdain. Here are a few additional facts in case they still need them. When women have over 10 intimate partners, their desire to get married to a man is little more than a last-ditch effort. Pair bonding is virtually impossible, and research indicates that she probably contains DNA from several guys. Let me put it this way. Would you want some other guy's DNA in your child? A person will always be shaped by their family's environment. The woman is likely to be more damaged than a conventional woman raised in a healthy home if the social conditioning is coupled with the absence of a good mother figure or with the presence of a promiscuous and/or toxic mother. It's like going back in time, and I mean the golden times if you ever come across conventional women. Sadly, they are not very common. Thanks for watching Man Reacts. Show us your love and support by liking this video, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to the channel. Support us and help us spread support for men around the world. Do comment and share your thoughts. We're always up for a healthy debate and discussion.